Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Jessie Breaks Out. I'm your host, Jessie Lockhart, and we're playing Summoner. This is, I believe, part 4 in our series. And in the last episode, we traversed through the city of Lenelle, just doing kind of random odds and ends, kind of getting familiar with the territory, and picking up some side quests here and there. Right now, we are in the, I believe this is the Temple District, or Plaza. Going up these long flights of stairs. I don't know if this isn't a stairway to heaven, I don't know what is. And just, again, can I remark on... this bit right here, the whole Temple Plaza, it just blows my mind when I look at it again. This is simply amazing, and I know this is just a picture in the back, but holy crap, just look at it in comparing to the environment all around us here. It's just absolutely fantastic. I kind of crapped on the graphics a little bit earlier, but when you get a scene like this, it really puts the whole thing into perspective, and I think that's decent water texture there. But, oh my god, the size of this temple. And the fact they just went ahead and just built this thing for the game. It really doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose, but just to kind of make your jaw drop. Oh, it's so beautiful. But enough gawking. Let's enter the Temple of Uroth. And why is it called the Temple of Uroth? Well, why don't we go find out? And wow. Again. They did not need to build this. They did not need to design this whole thing for the game. Because honestly, the whole purpose this really serves is to give you quite a bit of lore into the game's world. Primarily, you know, kind of similar to like reading the Bible, Book of Revelations and stuff like that, where it just gives you the whole spiel on gods, deities, heaven and hell, creation, all that good stuff. And that's really all this place, the purpose this place really serves. At some point there is a battle, but for the most part, this is it. It's just, they designed this just for eye candy. And it's pretty damn good, to be honest. I absolutely love it. I'll go talk to you first, before we address the head honcho in the room. The guy with the biggest hat, who's obviously the most important one. Get over here. And again, we're having trouble with the point and click. If Lenelle burned and all were put to the sword, a voice would speak the holy words in the wilderness. Even in the chaos, when demons razed the city, the right endured. The chaos of 10,000 years, an age of death and madness. Empires rose and fell. Clan warred against clan, and demons wreaked havoc across the realm. Not much has survived the chaos. Learning and writing were all but dead. The Sudani wandered as nomads, barbarous and warlike, killing and burning all in their path. The demons forced the Sudani to do their bidding, and yet the right endured. The speaking of holy words kept faith alive, for in these words Uroth lives on. He is our father, and we are exiles from cities of glass. This is how the chaos began, as the Sudani fell wingless, and mad with grief they turned against each other. For we are beings of the air, now strangers to our true nature. Have you never looked upon a hawk or sparrow and remembered deep within your soul soaring over the forest and mountains? The sky is our home, and our banishment has made us cruel and savage. We were not always so monstrous as this. We were glorious creatures. Of the air, wise, peaceful, and beautiful, not these fallen monsters we've become. I have nothing to say to that. It's one of those, I literally have no response for that. They never do. And clearly this is... again, I just can't get over the marvel of this. And can I comment on the music now? We've already gotten a few tracks so far into this game, and I enjoy it so much. I love the soundtrack. When I discovered, when I found, it's not a complete soundtrack, mind you, but I found, just a compilation of tracks from this game, I nearly wet myself. I was so overjoyed. And most importantly, it had one of my all-time favorite tracks in this game, one that we're going to be hearing very soon, as soon as we handle all of this here. And honestly, I kind of feel like I'd be cheating you guys if I didn't come in here and we didn't talk with this guy and just get the whole history of the world, minus Mel Brooks and whatnot. So, let's talk to this guy. This here is the Hierophant. I am Fernek of Moano, Hierophant of the Urathi priesthood. I am leader of the Order of Uroth, sworn guardians of the eternal right. As long as one voice speaks the right, the world shall endure. This has been our mandate since the Arenegeth. The mosaics of the temple tell the story of the Arenegeth, the war of the gods. Do you wish to hear it? Sure. Do you wish to learn about the first, second, or third Arenegeth? Or would you rather learn about the death of Uroth, god of the Sudani? Well, if we're going to start a story, we might as well start from the beginning. And at this point, they're going to play a few cutscenes, and it's just going to be dialogue here with a couple of imagery, so I'm just going to keep quiet while it plays. So let's do this. As you wish.
This is the tale of the Arenegeth, the war of the gods. The children of Guval usurped their father, the maker of all things, and Uroth proclaimed himself Lord of all creation. But Uroth's sister, Lahara, envied her brother's power and sought the throne of heaven for herself. Lahara and her disciples rebelled, and the gods made war against each other. Thus we know this battle as the First Arenegeth. Uroth crushed Lahara's rebellion and banished his sister to Kossos, our world, where our ancestors lived and died.
Now, I don't know about you, but I have to admit, I kind of found Lahara a little bit attractive, but mostly from the neck down. God, I'm going to hell for that. But I mean, right there, you just get the sense that the writers of this game, or just maybe just the whole world in general, really had a lot in mind with this story. They thought pretty deeply on the surrounding kind of history and lore, and the surrounding world that Joseph exists in, and just how important it might be to really kind of establish this stuff. I think that's a really, really cool detail, and I kind of wish, more games would focus on things like this. It really helps to just set an overall tone as the kind of world you're traversing through when you play certain games. Anyway, so we have learned about the beginning, and now let's learn about the Arenegeth. I believe, yes, the second Arenegeth.
Among the people of Kossos, Lahara brought chaos and discord. The skies, seas, and plains roiled with war and bloodshed. By Lahara's hand, the children of creation turned against each other. Urath heard the lament from Kossos, and he came down from the heavens. For 100 years, the second Arenegeth raged, until Lahara surrendered. Urath exiled his sister to a prison deep below the earth, a world of fire we would come to know as the kingdom of the dead.
This weird kind of texture issue right there. I don't know if that was supposed to be a lighting thing or if that was just the game kind of weirding out right there. Not entirely sure. Alright, on to the third Arenegeth. By the way, I hope I was doing this guy's, an impersonation of this guy well enough. I've heard it enough times that I think I got it, but I won't be able to really find out until I check the recording. Anyway, on to the third Arenegeth.
But Lahara would not concede defeat. She sent forth her minions to steal the souls of the dead and hoard them in the halls of her prison. Thus, deep below the world upon which we stand, our souls shall be doomed to endure all eternity. With a vengeful fury, Urath swooped down from his throne and struck the earth with his sword. The very stones that hold our world together split apart. This is how one kingdom became many. Mediva, Orenia, and the islands beyond the far horizon. And so began the third Arenegeth, the final battle of the gods.
I apologize for that. I don't know what was going on there with the texture there. That's just weird. This might be an issue with the PC version, because I really don't remember that ever being an issue with the PS2 version. Yeah. I don't know, it could just be this particular version. This is not exactly the PC version. This is, I think, a kind of updated version of the PC version. But it seems like some things were missed, either in the original PC version or in this. But yeah, that was kind of weird. And by the way, did anybody notice the Lahara troll face at the bottom of that one image? I would absolutely love to see some sort of an emoticon of Lahara troll face. That would be great. Somebody get on that, please. Now! Do it now! Chop chop. Alright, anyway. Let's get to it. The death of Urath. God really is dead. Let's find out how it happened.
Defeated once again, Lahara begged for mercy, and Urath relented. But then, as she embraced her brother, Lahara plunged a dagger in his back. Her minions fell upon him and tore the flesh from his bones. As Urath died, the winged Sudani fell from the sky, their god destroyed. The cities of glass shattered and became the Vahiomo, the sea of stars. This is how our people lost their wings at the dawning of the chaos of 10,000 years.
I kind of like that as an origin story for a race of people. Whereas the Bible kind of has Adam and Eve were created and they were cast out of Eden and eventually gave birth to humanity. Um, this one's kind of interesting where essentially us as human beings began as sort of like angels, essentially. And then once their creator, the god Urath, died, the power that he gave them disappeared as well, and they just became human beings. It's kind of a cool concept, actually. I like it. But let's get a little more lore in here. Let's talk about the creation. Shall I tell you how Guval made the world, or would you hear the tale of the city of gods? Perhaps you are interested in the banishment of Guval, or would the story of doomed Iona suit you better? Well, again, any stories worth starting at the beginning. Let's do it.
The story of creation begins with Guval, the maker of all things. From the tree of 7 branches, Guval carved the spheres of creation, Ergal and Kosas. Ergal is the city of light and joy that lies beyond the Vaheomo, the sea of stars where Aladi keeps watch. These are the white spires of heaven, beyond the fires that vanquish night and winter. Kosas is the world, and here we have lived since the firstborn. The sea and the mountains, the fish and the birds, and all people of all kingdoms belong to Kosas. In Kosas we live, and in Kosas we shall die. Guval, the maker of all things, created his children, Amesido, god of the sea, Lahara, goddess of the flame, Vadagar, god of the earth, and Urath, god of the sky. From the white stones of his city, Guval cast down his children. Never shall you cross the gates of heaven, said the maker of all things. Here I am Lord, and I shall rule so all creation knows my tyranny. Kosas shall be your kingdom and your prison.
I'm going to point at the elephant in the room here. You didn't really get a great look at Guval, but I swear to God, he has such a derp face going on. I know it's kind of... They're not the best drawings, obviously. I gotta look for them online, actually. That'd be kind of fun to check out, but... I kind of feel like they could have come up with something a little bit better than that. And obviously, just aside from Christianity in general, it looks like they got some inspiration from stuff like Greek mythology, some other religions as well, and other mythologies, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any at this moment, but some of them seem familiar from stuff I heard, just briefly in some of the mythology I have read up on. Right, let's learn about the City of Gods.
The children of Guval gathered at the center of the world, and there built the city named Ileosi. For all would know this place as the city of gods. Urath said unto them, Here we shall make a people to serve and worship us. This very temple was built upon the city of Ileosi, for Lenelle means city of gods in the tongue of the old Runari. In the forge of the gods, the children of Guval created the 4 tribes of the world, the Kosani of Vadagar, the winged Sudani of Urath, the Munari of Amisido, and the horrors infernal Odoni. We are the descendants of the Sudani, though we lost our wings in the Arenegeth.
Okay. Let's learn about the banishment of Gaval now. Do it.
Stone by stone, the children of Guval built the Tower of Ina to reach beyond the Vaheomo, where Angadi keeps watch. Up the winding stair, they marched to Urgal, the shining city of light and joy. The walls of heaven fell. From the white spires of Urgal, Uroth banished his father, the maker of all things. Cursing his children, Guval set the celestial sphere in motion. As the seasons turned, death came to Kossos, and the children of the four gods grew old and died.
Brutal. There are always consequences to that kind of... Can't think of the word. Bravado comes to mind, but I know there's a much better word. Hubris. There you go. They defied their father, and thus their children were punished. Pretty grim stuff. Alright, let's learn about Doomed Iona. Doomed!
The windows of our temple also tell the story of Doomed Iona, daughter of Amasido. Vadagar, god of the earth, fell in love with Iona, enraptured by the beauty of her song. Vadagar raised Iona's palace above the waves, but as a fish cannot live out of water, Iona perished in her lover's arms. Amasido grieved for his daughter and swore vengeance. With a great wave, he struck the earth and flooded the cities of the Kosani, children of Vadagar. Those who survived the deluge fled to Sanavar, a mountain of the wise, where they await the return of their god.
Yikes. It's a pretty rough sibling rivalry going on there. But what really gets me in mythology, religion, stuff like that, altogether is this concept of inbreeding. And I find it funny that a guy falls in love with his niece. Then he ends up killing her. I mean, jeez. Oh, dude. What an idiot. These are supposed to be gods, man, and they're pulling dumb stuff like this. It really makes you wonder. Alright, so you're Hierophant. Give us more details. I am leader of the Order of Uroth, sworn guardians of the eternal right. As long as one voice speaks the right, the world shall endure. This has been our mandate since the Arenegeth. Actually, I think I remember you telling me that already. Anyway, thanks for the stories, sir. It's been good. But it's time to move on, because we have a game to play. Now, aside from those amazing stories, and this is where I wish you had some sort of like full-on camera control, just to be able to get a great view of all of this. There's no real way, like, I think the best way you can get a good view of it is really by walking around. Actually, I think there is another way. There are staircases over here and hallways off to the side. And you can actually just kind of walk up and look at some of the murals on the ground. Let's open that up and walk through. And there's actually more to this area than just simply getting the stories, there's actually a couple things to get here that are side quest related. Such as a blue glass shard. The Jamadi lady wanted us to find glass shards for her, so that is one of several. And just for fun, let's climb up these steps here. Honestly, who would go to all this trouble just to design this? Just for the sake of, again, just simply to awe you. And we just climb up here, if we can click these spots here. Ooh. Let's talk to you. Do you have anything worthwhile to talk about? Prelate. I am Tyrone the Wise, Prelate of the Order of the High Temple. I am the temple's envoy to the court of King Belias. In the name of the Hierophant, I offer counsel to the king. The High Temple has more land than any lord and 5,000 lances to defend it. Without the Urathi, the king would not be king. The Hierophant of the Order of Uroth crowns the king of Medivh, and he rules by our mandate. The princes of the Brunari are descendants of the heirs of the god of Uroth. This the Hierophant proclaimed 6 centuries ago, and so the Medivhan conquest began. A 300-year war among the 13 clans. Though the Brunari won the crown long ago, the war continues in the hearts of Medivh's lords. The Brunari are the people who settled on the banks of the Darhu River, where Lenelle stands today. King Belias is a descendant of their princes. And there was more to talk about, but I think I'm just gonna kind of skip that. But walk up here and, you know, I was expecting a little bit more. I wasn't expecting all of this this fog of war all around me like this. Because I really would like to get a good look at a lot of these stained glass windows here. Unfortunately, you just can't get a good enough look. Somehow I think this is mainly a PC issue, but I think it's also kind of it might have been a PS2 issue too. I think this might have been before proper camera controls were a thing. Because there is a camera, of course, but you can't really raise it or lower it. You can't look up, you can't look down. It's pretty static. I think for the most part it's about as basic as you can get for a camera. Okay, and again, the serious downside to point and click is just long. Aramis. I am Aramis, a scholar of theology and a priest of the High Temple. I study the writings of the ancients. When the ancients cannot provide the truth, we must find the answers for ourselves. From the mysteries of the gods are born the wars of men. Wars of religion, the Silurian Crusade, the Gallic heresy, and the Inquisition of the Nuvarism. Nuvasarum. The wars are as old as the Arenegeth. The war between Uroth and his sister Lockhart is called the Arenegeth in the Old Tongue, or the War of the Gods in the Third Arenegeth. Lockhart destroyed Uroth, plunging the world into chaos. The darkest era of creation has ever known. We lost our true language and our knowledge of the gods. We nearly lost the eternal right. The words of the right keep forces of creation in motion. Since the death of Uroth, we have forgotten the true words, corrupted over time. During the chaos, the Holy Ones devoted their lives to preserving the right. As long as one voice utters the sacred words, creation will endure. So that the right would survive, these Holy Ones searched for disciples to whom they could pass the sacred words. Over the centuries, the words changed or were forgotten, and so the world fell into disorder. Discovering the true right is the mission of our order. At the end of the chaos, the disciples gathered at the first Synod of Damari, to decide which words belonged to the true right. Factions and sects emerged, and the age of heresies had begun. And I'm gonna skip all this. It's dragging on a little too long, and I don't want this. I'm not talking to you. Stop it. I know you want to talk a lot. You don't have a lot of people to talk to, but you just gotta stop, man. I already talked to you. I think I need to climb up these steps. There is one more side quest related thing up here we need to address. And the guy mentioned at that point there were different sects, and he was about to talk about Iona, and that's going to be an important part of continuing the main plot. That will end up, at that point, it's sometime later in the game. It's going to be a while before we get there, but hopefully not too long. I have no time to speak to you of gods and rites. One of our order has gone missing, and this is a matter of grave concern for the priests of the High Temple. An initiate named Eladach, a lad of great promise. His cell was found empty 3 days ago. No word from him since. Cell? What was he, a prisoner? Help? I imagine there is nothing you can do. This is an internal matter. However, if you should hear any word about Eladach, tell us at once. And we got a new side quest. There are quite a few of these in this game. I haven't counted, but there's probably close to about 20 to 30 side quests in this game. There's a lot. You don't have to do them all, but you get a good amount of experience and some pretty decent items overall for doing so. So it's pretty worthwhile to do. I'm telling you, I'm literally playing this game one-handed right now. It's kind of unfortunate. Alright, so we exit the temple. And now back at... Oh, the temple's amazing, but I love the scenery on this part. So beautiful. Alright. So, we'll go from here. And just keep going down. It's a big staircase. This massive waterfall and rivers. I mean, crap and a half. Look at that! Look at that! I know it's not the best texture, but it just put yourself in the year 2000 and just kind of look at it and think, isn't this amazing? I think that was what really kind of gripped me in this game, is just all of the scenery. And this is just the start. Wait till we get to Iona. I bring that up, but wait till we get to Iona. That part's gonna be amazing. Oh, Iona is gonna be awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of the game, actually. Just the overall concept of that part is pretty damn cool. Alright, so before we kind of stop this episode and then move on to the next part, we are going to get a cutscene and we're going to get introduced to our first party member. I believe it's coming right up.
Please, I beg of you, I must see Iago.
That's Lord Iago to you. Well,
Then Lord Iago it is. I have urgent business.
business? What business? Will you sell him turnips? Has he borrowed your plow?
I come by his command. Stand aside and let me pass.
Listen, peasant. You be on your way now.
Iago is expecting me. Ask him. My name is...
Irrelevant. Now go or I'll spill your blood on the palace gate.
What's wrong, Your Grace? Won't they let you in the palace?
Huh? Who are you?
Follow me. I know a way in.
What are you talking about?
Come on, I'll explain when we get there. The guards are...
So this is your way into the palace? Through the sewers?
These tunnels date back to the City of Gods. They'll take you anywhere in Lenelle, if you know the way.
I'm not going in there unless you tell me who you are and what you want.
As you wish. My name is Felice. I work for Tancred.
Tancred? The Prince of Beggars?
Yeah, that's the one. Prince of Beggars and King of Fleas.
How do I know you won't cut my throat down there, or stick a knife in my back? Why should I even trust you?
I wouldn't trust me if I were you, but you want to get in the palace, and so do I.
But why are you here? What do you want from me?
There's something I need to get from the palace.
But why are you helping me?
Because I need your help. The sewers are dangerous. I can't risk it alone.
You're making a mistake. I'm a farmer, not a warrior.
But your need is as great as mine. Let's go.
And so now we have been introduced to our first party member, Fleece. And I just want to address this real quick. Other characters you're going to meet in the game have, I would say, just kind of common fantasy kind of names, or just common names in general. Like Joseph is a pretty kind of straightforward name. It's a name you hear most of the time, particularly if you're here in the Americas. There's other characters, I won't bring up their names, particularly one of them is a bit of a twist, so I won't say it, but their names are, they sound like kind of solid fantasy names. Fleece, on the other hand, while it's not a bad fantasy name, the fact that it's the name of a rogue, a thief, I think is pretty... I actually kind of think it's clever, even though it's kind of silly. I like it, to be honest. For anyone not familiar with what fleece is basically another way of saying steal. Lift something. Basically, you're fleecing an item is kind of a way of saying you're stealing something or you're robbing somebody. And the fact that that's her name, it strikes me as pretty funny. I like it. And I love the character Fleece. She's my favorite character in this game. I love how she's pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty relaxed, for the most part. She doesn't show a whole lot of, she's not the kind of character that's, any sort of a heavy. Not a great amount of serious dialogue. She kind of likes a bit of a jokester. A little bit, not much. But then real quick, I'd also like to address the names for Tancred, the King of Fleas. The moment I said that, something popped into my head and I just couldn't stop laughing. I'm kind of glad I was on mute. Otherwise I would have been interrupting the cutscene. But that reminds me of a joke in a really bad American cartoon based off of the video game Darkstalkers. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It is terrible, but it's also funny because it's terrible. But one of the characters in the game, Anakaris, is the mummy, basically. Like, the game Darkstalkers is a fighting game made by Capcom that's kind of based around kind of classic movie monsters like vampires, werewolves, and creatures like that. And they made a character based off of the Mummy, who was Anacharis. Anacharis' introduction into the cartoon, and the cartoon is basically a bastardization of Darkstalkers in general. None of the characters are like what they're supposed to be in the game. They're just like kind of cookie cutter cliches you saw in a lot of 80s and 90s cartoons, to be honest. But Anacharis was kind of unique in the fact that he was literally a raving lunatic, and he just spouted the most random stuff imaginable. And one of his lines, I think it's like the third episode or something, when he makes his entrance into the episode, he basically spouts out, "I am the master of fleas." just absolutely random. And there's all sorts of other, no, I apologize, I got it wrong. It's, "I am master of 1,000 fleas." Sorry, I butchered that. But he just spouts all kinds of stupid stuff like that, and I always got a kick out of it, and I still kind of get a kick out of it now. So, now we have Fleece on our team. And I was wondering how we're going to do that. I kind of figured you just kind of click on the portrait to basically pick the character. And I like how it describes this. Party members have their own unique set of skills and abilities. For instance, Fleece will eventually get the ability to backstab and sneak, which Joseph will never get. This line right here, ability to backstab and sneak, is pretty potent. I'm amazed I went through so many playthroughs of this game early on without ever discovering this detail about Fleece. Because I would just kind of go head on. I would treat it like, you know, other classic RPGs where positioning yourself and strategizing were actually kind of important to this game. I eventually learned that, but I still didn't learn about Fleece. She's a thief. She likes to sneak around, and she's pretty much based off of the D&D class of the thief, or the rogue, as they're called later on. But, so yeah, you can just click on a character, and that's who you're going to play as. And I like how, I was hoping that they would have their own macro. Now let's actually look up Fleece's stuff. Macro it up. So she has bow weapons. Pick lock is going to be pretty big because there's going to be a variety of cases where we'll come across those little boxes or sacks that actually are locked and require a lockpick of a certain level in order to unlock them. And she's got sword weapons, dodge, aimed attack. What about aimed attack? What does aimed attack do? Chance causing status effect. Always good. Kick. I think kick just basically is kind of like push. It just kind of knocks the guy back. Leg swipe, I believe, slows. Yep. Desperation. Pretty much everybody has added blow and desperation. And they have a variety of other stuff that they can use. But let's see what else we got here. No, that's quests. See, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 14 side quests already. And we have one main quest, find Iago. Yikes. I always find that hilarious. So she does not have spells. Let's, skills. Here we go. Pick a lock. Let's, macro. Nope. On the image. Let's put that down here. That's going to be more of an out-of-combat thing. And she doesn't even have a sneak yet. That's interesting. Disappointing. Let's switch to Joseph. back. And we want spells, regenerate, here we go. That's going to be a good spell. A little stuff over time. Notice everything we have for him is basically... bless. Plus physical damage. That is our protect spell. That'll be good. Okay. So while we're at it, why don't we outfit Fleece with some of the new gear we got for her. The high leather boots, those are going to be for Joseph actually. The steel-heeled boots, those are for Fleece. There we go. Studded leggings, also for Fleece. And I could have sworn there was a torso piece that we could have gotten for her, but never came up. Leather arm guards. Oop, down here. Haha. And so far she's pretty well outfitted. Joseph, we did not completely outfit. We'll give him his padded silk coat. And his high leather boots. And I think I'm just going to go back to this. I think I'm just going to sell the fiery falchion. I think I would feel more comfortable testing this out if I could do so with a controller. Because I just know the way this thing works. It's basically, while I'm in melee, this thing's going to fire out a fireball, and it's just going to create an area of fire around all of us. And we're just, basically anybody in that vicinity is just going to be taking damage. And because it's not family friendly, it almost seems pointless to have this on a sword. It seems like it would make sense on a ranged weapon, but not on a sword. Especially if it's going to hurt you while using it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense in that. Alright, so everybody is properly outfitted. Let's save the game. And we were at... where does that put us at now? I believe this is probably where we're going to... Yeah, why not? We'll stop this part here. And we will pick up from there in the next episode. Could have sworn I had another thought. Oh yeah, before I go, actually, real quick. Now that we have Fleece in our party, that activates what's called solo mode. Basically, when you activate solo mode, you are by yourself. Your characters stay where they're at. And the only one who picks up experience in combat is you. Or whichever character you have picked for solo mode. It's pretty cool. We're not going to use it a whole lot though, mostly in the case of starting fights, because problem is the AI takes place on some of these cases, and if you get close enough to where the enemy is going to start going after you, more likely your AI is going to do that too. And sometimes it's best when there's a number of enemies about to draw enemies toward you instead of just jumping in, because then you could have like enemies coming from all sides and you could find yourself in serious trouble. And real quick, let's actually, there we go. We want our AI at support. Basically to just join in with Joseph at any time the attacking starts. And she starts off at level 4. Whereas Joseph is already at level 7, and no, it's not going to take him less XP. But I imagine Fleece will probably have gained 2 levels at least before Joseph gains his level to get to level 8. And she doesn't have much else going on. Her macros are pretty much the same. Let's see. Caps and alt. I want to keep this the same. Can I? Yes. So we have caps and shift for Joseph. Let's keep that the same. I don't expect to use kick a whole lot, so let's put that on alt. back to Joseph real quick. Caps and shift, confusion, push. Yeah, we like that. Alright. And we'll go back to Joseph. And I'm sure you can hear it along with my voice. The music going on in the background right now. This is... I made the statement before, we were going to get to hear it really soon. This is my favorite track in the entire game. And I love how we get to hear it several times and so early on too. And the music in this stage, this level, helped draw me in, along with everything else, but especially this track. Alright, so let's save it one more time. I'll just save over that. Normally we'd rotate our saves. Pat would be pissed at us, but we're going to go with it anyway. And with that, we're going to end this episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate any views, any support that I get, so please feel free to like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing, you want to see more. And feel free to leave comments, any sort of, anything you really want to say, whether positive or negative. I really don't care. I want more positive, of course, but I don't mind negative. And any sort of advice, ideas, criticisms, anything you got, throw it at me. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Catch you later.